Welcome, everybody. Is there anybody here not here today that was here a month ago? I just wanted to make sure that everybody switched on here. Good man, Joe. But there are a few people here that wasn't here last month, yeah? So what we're going to... yeah, we'll get those. We'll get those. Yeah. Well, what we're really going to do is we're just going to recap a little bit what we did last month, okay? We're not going to go into it as much depth as we did last month, but we're just going to recap what it's really all about. So it's like this. There's only two choices in life, all right? Every other choice that you seem to think that you have is an illusion of choice. It really doesn't matter. And the first choice that you have depends then on your second choice, yeah? So the first choice is, when will you decide to waken up? Okay, that's what you're here for. If you're doing A Course in Miracles, that's the objective, that's the long-term goal why you're here, is to waken up. Okay, and in that journey, and on that journey, right, you will become more peaceful. Hopefully you'll become more blissful. Okay, and a few people already have, since our last month, since we started doing this, this 12-month program of mind training, which is really level 3 in the course, have touched that little and have tasted that little bliss. And if you read chapter 8, it says very distinctly that truth can only be experienced. So this is what level 3 of A Course in Miracles is all about, is getting you to the experience yourself, because you can read the book and read the book and read the book, but there has to come a time when you have to get your head out of the book and you have to start doing it. Okay, so there's a good analogy on saying this is, for this 12 months what we're doing is we're baking a cake, all right? And there's ingredients, as you know, every time that you bake a cake, yeah? And there's instructions along with that. But some people who have come back to me in the last couple of weeks have decided to bake their own cakes. They're using their own ingredients. They're doing it their way. And, you know, if you haven't had an experience in this last 4 weeks, that's what you have to look at. Are you going to bake your cake, or are you going to bake the cake that Jesus is describing to us in A Course in Miracles? Because if you're going to do it your own way, remember what it says at the very beginning of the course? Only the time that you take is voluntary. Yeah? You don't change the curriculum. So in last month's mind training, what happened was people have decided to do their own curriculum. I'll do the morning meditation. I'll do the evening meditation. I won't do the one during the day. You know, one person come back to me and says, well, I keep falling asleep. I said, how's that possible when you're supposed to be sitting? I could do it in my bed. Do you know? So there's all kinds of little, and this is really what it is resistance. Okay? So there's no harm done. If this has come up and you're not following what the procedure was laid out, okay, it's just showing you, all right, that you have resistance to doing this. But then there's people who are actually doing this as it says on the tin, so to speak. And those people are touching base. They're having the experience. And what we're really going to do when we come back after the break, we're going to go into that last month and the experiences and the people who had the experiences. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that and what's coming for the next month. So for this first, up until the break, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the mind, okay, and what's this all about? Because on each level, okay, everything within the course means something different, yeah? So what we're really trying to do here is get to the point where, everybody here drive a car, yeah? No. No? Well, we're going to use the car analogy, all right? And it's like to drive a car. Okay, you have a number of things that you have to do and learn, okay? You have to take lessons. You have to know how the car works. You have to put it into gear. You have to use the indicators, the clutch, all of these kind of things, all right? Then, okay, once you get to know all of that, you have to learn the rules of the road, yeah? And this is exactly what the mind is. All right, it's like a car, and the whole world is like, it's like the rules of the rules of the road. Okay, so we need to know how the mind works. Okay, and then we need to know what the world is for, so therefore we can get to A to B to C and so on. At the moment, okay, we don't know how the mind works, and that's like getting into a car not knowing how to drive it. And then we go down this road, and it happens to be a one-way street, and we're going down the wrong way. And the next thing, bang, bang, bang. We get hurt, and we get hurt all over again. Okay? And that's what's really happening. And that's at this first level here. Okay? This is the unconscious level. In this level, it's like having a blindfold on. You don't know what you're doing. You have the decision maker here between the ego wrong mind, and you have the ego right mind. But you're not making decisions. The ego is making the decisions. The ego is the decision maker. All right? We move up to the second level of teachings, okay? And this is what you would call the semi-conscious mind. And this means that some of the time you know what you're doing, and some of the time you don't know what you're doing. So it's like you're kind of waking up on this level, all right? And you're trying to how would you call it? You're trying to learn how to crawl and walk like a baby, okay? So, sometimes you're going to be in a nice place, you're going to experience peace, joy, maybe love and happiness, okay? Sometimes you're going to experience fear, guilt, sadness, hate, okay? So that's that level of teachings. Then what we're doing this year in Ireland here is we're trying to get up to the third level, okay? The third level is the conscious mind, okay? Now you're aware of what you're doing all of the time. There's no more accidents. In this level, right, there's peace all of the time. There's joy all of the time. There's bliss as often as you want it. So those are the three levels. Now, excuse me. Most people who are studying the course in the world today are studying the course at this level. Okay, level 2. And there's some great teachers out there of level 2 teachings. Okay, and in my opinion, Kenneth Wapnick would have been one of the greatest teachers of level 2. But unfortunately, what has happened is most people have missed level 1. Okay, and you can only transcend what you know. And if you don't know it, you can't transcend it. So I recommend people, contact me and they say, which course book, should I buy? And I recommend one book in particular, all right? And it's The Foundation of Peace, this book, the 3rd edition. Do you know why the 3rd edition? Is that it?
It's got all of the supplements in it.
Because it's got this in it. Now, there's sparkly books out there, there's green books out there, there are all kinds of books out there now. And, I don't know what basically they all entail or what they encompass. But I do know that the Foundation book, edition 3, has the Song of Prayer in it. And that's the ego right mind. And this is why everybody's missed it. It's because it's right at the back of the book. So everybody automatically starts reading A Course in Miracles and they go into level 2 teachings. Wrong mind, right mind. But even at the beginning of the course where Jesus says a particular study and care and attention is not given to these early levels, okay, it's going to engender a lot of fear later on. What he's really talking about is this level here, level 1. Okay? So we're going to just talk a little bit about that. So on each different level, everything means different. So you could say forgiveness means something here, here, and here. Judgment is different here to here to here. Projection, different to here to here to here. So this is why there's a lot of confusion out there in the course, is because a lot of people are confusing the levels. Okay, the course is a really, really simple book. Once you understand the levels and you proceed from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. Now, I've been here now, I think it's almost 2 years here in Dublin going through this. And for the last 2 years, what we have done, we've done level 1, level 2. All right, I didn't stipify those levels at that time because I didn't want people, but normally what happens, and Ken Wapnick used to say to his students, is everybody wants to jump to here first. Okay, and that's natural because you want to get there. But I thought it was very, very important for the past 2 years that we do this. And this is why at the end of last year, I told everybody that we're going to be moving into this new level 3 teachings here. All right? So, at this level, forgiveness. All right? Forgiveness means something here to here to here. Yeah? So this is forgiveness to destroy. And it's all over the Song of Prayer at the very end of the course. So you must learn what forgiveness is not to understand what forgiveness is. Yeah? And there's four versions or 4 scenarios of what forgiveness is to destroy. Yeah? And you just know what that is. You know, forgive the sinners, which is forgiveness to condemn, which is really condemning yourself. Because when you see someone else or see sin outside of yourself, you're separating yourself from that person. And you're both separating yourself from God. So forgiveness to destroy really is a tool that the ego used to keep us separated and divided. And then there's the martyr. Whereas you're the sinner, but I'm the sinner too. Okay? So you're as bad as I am. Okay? And what you have done in that case is the both of us, I have joined with you in sin, but again, we both now have separated from God. And then there's the other one, the forgiveness, compromise, or bargaining. And we have all done this too, is where I will forgive you if you don't do it again. Or if you do this for me. Okay? So there's many types of forgiveness out there, and this is what the ego right mind is. Also, there's prayer to destroy. And it's much like forgiveness. Okay? You pray for the sinners. Pray to destroy. You know? So we'll go into that a little bit more. So on each level, okay, something means different. Everything means difference. Okay? Any questions on that? God, you're all very quiet today for some reason. I must get Sanders here more often because normally there'd be about 50 questions at this stage. Yeah?
With regard to forgiveness at the different levels, you say forgiveness is different at the different levels. Well, how does it change?
On this level?
Yeah, how does it change on that level from level one?
Yeah. Okay. Well, forgiveness in this level really is what we done last year was the ATF, all right, where you bring back your projections. Okay, because what we're trying to do is we're always trying to get rid of our sin. Yeah? And that means we're trying to see it in someone else. Or we do see it in someone else. Yeah? So what we do is now, this is the ego's form of forgiveness. And then there's many techniques out there for forgiveness. Gary Rayner has a technique. Nick Sances has a technique. They're all forms of techniques out there. So, you know, you can just pick your own technique. But basically, if you want to sum up what forgiveness is recognizing that the person outside of you is innocent. Okay? Even that is enough for forgiveness. Okay, recognizing, right, I might see sin in you, but now I recognize it's not, it's my projection. So, you know, you can go into the steps of, you know, I bring this back and then I give this to the Holy Spirit. Do you know?
So what's forgiveness on level 3?
We're going to get to that. Okay. Basically, at forgiveness at level 3 is level 3 is where you're joined with everybody. Okay? So that is the forgiveness technique in itself. Because on this level, you have the ego wrong mind and you have the ego right mind. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to become right-minded. So what we're doing is we're ejecting our wrong mind. So there seems to be this conflict. All right? So on this level, the ego seems to be the devil. All right? It seems to be evil or whatever. So we move to this level, the ego means something else. The ego now seems to be an adversary. You know, it seems to be an opponent where the ego is attacking us, yeah? And we're trying to get rid of the ego, okay? But on this level, all right, the ego's a little pussycat. And I'm going to prove that to you today. Okay, the ego is simply a device. And if you leave the ego alone, the ego will leave you alone. Okay? I know many people have contacted me and they're complaining about the ego, and the ego is attacking them, and the ego knows that this is going to happen, and now the ego is attacking and all of this. But I'm really serious. We're going to go through a little. Diagram that's going to show that basically that the ego is a device that sits there, and it's your attention that goes into it that sparks that off, because the ego is pure cause and effect. So the ego at this level up here is the dream, because everything in here is the dream. So even you could say the Christ, which is the entire sonship as one, is still in the ego thought system. Okay? Because the Christ doesn't exist as a separate entity outside of God. Course in Miracles is in the ego. It's in the dream. So, you know, there's loads of good stuff in the dream, in the ego, and there's loads of bad stuff, and you have the choice. Yeah? But we're too tolerant of mind wandering, and it's our mind wandering that causes havoc. And your mind can only wander when it's unconscious. Yeah? Does that answer it for you? Yeah? So,
sorry, level 1 is unconscious. How do you make it conscious?
We're going to get to that.
How do you become aware of it?
Right. It's the ego wrong mind, okay, is a murderous, attacking. It's really the worst of all the levels that we're in, okay? And everybody knows that. So is there anybody in here that would turn around and say that they're the ego wrong mind? Does anybody in here want to kill somebody? At times, I know. Yeah. Okay. So what we've done, you could say that when you have gone and picked up the book and Course in Miracles, you have transcended the ego wrong mind. You're not out now with a gun shooting people. You're not going out at night time with a balaclava and a knife with you trying to attack people, are you? So when people are deep in that kind of state of mind, that's the level that they're in. They're in the ego wrong mind. So obviously you and all of us here together and everybody that's doing spirituality around the world says there has to be a better way. So what we have done is we have transcended the ego wrong mind, and basically now we're looking to bring a little bit of love, joy, and happiness into us, so we're here in the ego right mind. Would you agree with that? Yeah? So what happens then is this ego right mind comes up here. Yeah? And now on this level, okay. Yeah. What happens now, this becomes the battle of the two right minds. And this is where all the confusion comes in.
That's exactly where I am.
Yes. And that's exactly, I'm going to show you how exactly to do something about it. Okay. So what happens is we transcend this level. Okay. We transcend this level, and now we're up here to level 2. And you could really say, but what really happens if you don't know about this level and you come up here, this is the mistake and the error that a lot of people that I have come across, almost everybody that I have come across, okay? They're battling the ego wrong mind and the true right mind here. And this is why, like what Jesus says, it's causing so much fear and conflict. All right? Because they haven't got to grips with the ego right mind. Yeah? Just put up your hand.
Sorry, Michael, I'm a bit confused here.
Good.
I'm a bit confused here because, say, we're starting off with the ego wrong mind. Okay. Then we go to the ego right mind. So why is the ego wrong mind up there?
Right, because we're getting to that, because that's just exactly what I'm talking about now. It's because most people now doing the course, this is the level that they're doing. They're battling the ego wrong mind against their true right mind.
So they haven't gone through the...
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's why I have that in here. All right. Because at this level, if you don't bring this up to this level, well, this level is going to keep confusion here. You're going to you're going to think you're doing something right-minded, and all the time you're in the ego right mind. Does everybody get that? Do you know? This is where all the confusion in the course that I have seen in the world stems from. Okay? It's no longer a battle with the ego wrong mind, because the ego will only use what's going to work. And when it stops working, the ego is going to drop it. Okay? So at this level, right, the ego, right, has kind of dropped this, and now it's empowering itself within the ego right mind to confuse you. So what it means is, say you're up here at this level and you don't know anything about this level. Okay? What's happening is now you're practicing forgiveness. What are you doing? You're pulling yourself back down in here because you don't understand what forgiveness is. And how you understand what forgiveness is, you learn what forgiveness is not. And it's the same with prayer, salvation. There's loads of them there. That's all in the Song of Prayer at the end of the 3rd edition. Okay? But people just leave that to the very, very end. And they're doing all of this work between the ego wrong mind and the ego right mind. Okay? So I would say it to you, and I have said it to you many times, but I would say it to everybody who's watching this video around the world studying the course. You must get to grips with the ego right mind, because I'll show you exactly where the error comes in and how you're being deluded and how you're being caught. Right, I'm going to give you out of a sheet now, and I want you to really, right, what we're going to touch a little on this today, and we're going to go through it step by step, because you see, the people who have touched bliss here, okay, they're still, you know, they've touched it for an hour, some of them have touched it for 3 or 4 hours, okay, but what has happened is something, they've lost it again, yeah? And if you want to basically keep that bliss, you have to understand why you're losing it and why you're not holding it. Okay, so if you were going to spend, say, all of your time, say you had spent a year and you went into that meditation, you've touched that bliss for 4 or 5 hours, okay, then you could spend another year trying to get another 4 or 5 hours. Do you see where I'm coming from? All right. And that's not what this is about. It's not about trying to force this experience to come. There's something happening that's keeping this experience from you. Okay, and this is what we're going to do. So you pass them out. Everybody take one and pass it on. And take one from that and pass it on. Okay. And just stick with the top 2 sheets. Don't go into the 3rd one. We'll be doing that after the break. All right, remember what I told you about jumping on and missing what is exactly in front of your face. They're supposed to be, because that's what we're doing. Okay, everybody got the sheet? Okay, so here's how the whole thing works and why you keep getting caught out. Is there any more sheets? Has everybody got one? Yeah. Is there any left over? Yeah. Just hold those couple left over for me, James. Cheers. All right. So here we go. This is the real confusion of levels. Okay? Is the ego right mind and the true right mind. Yeah? Is that okay there, Sanders? Yeah?
Yep.
Now, this whole system is pure cause and effect. Everything, every thought that you have has an effect. And every thought that you have is really, really, it's so, so powerful. It's unbelievably powerful. Okay? And what happens is you have that thought, and that thought will take you into either of these two mindsets. Now remember, we have transcended the ego wrong mind, which is really a murderous, vengeful, hateful mindset. We've transcended that. Okay? Now the ego brings out the next defense, and the next defense is the ego right mind. So let's just say, right, I'll use an example. In my group on Thursday night, we did this, and a girl who was traveling up, she was traveling about an hour to get to my house. And she was driving up the road, right? And there were these cars in front of her, and she says, fucking cars. She just was so impatient, all right? She was really effing them out of the road because they were holding her back and she wanted to get in time, okay? So she was really irate, yeah? And I said to her, what thought did you have that took you into that mindset? She sat and she thought and she thought. And she had one thought that morning. And that thought was that she was special. Okay? That she was better than someone else. All right? And the way this works is she had that thought. And then exactly 3 to 4 hours later, all right, where are we? Here. Okay? The effect of her having that thought of specialness resulted in her being irate. And also, not only was she irate, right, she was vexed. Okay? And then she was attacking the other car drivers for holding her back. So everything in A Course in Miracles, or sorry, in the ego right mind in A Course in Miracles, right, is pure cause and effect. The whole ego thought system is cause and effect. And when Jesus says you're too tolerant of mind wandering, what has happened is she was doing the meditations and she had a beautiful experience. But she just allowed her mind to wander for 1 second to specialness, right here. Okay? And the ego sat and did nothing. And then just 4 hours later, bang. Okay. No, just normally. And why she had that thought was because she didn't know this for a start at that time. All right, let me give you another example. Another person who was at work and they have a problem with their boss. If you look at it, the authority problem, all right? And they came home from work that evening and they had venom and hate, okay? And the whole held a big grievance. Okay, and they had total contempt. All right, they were feeling all of these emotions. Why? The authority problem. They had a problem with their boss. Okay, and I know someone else who had a problem with the boss and I told their boss to go and fuck themselves. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, because that's what happens. If you have a problem, and I know a person who's in a relationship, and they're so pissed off with this person leaving their dirty socks here, and they're not cleaning up with themselves and all of this, that's really the authority problem. Okay? And you have all of these effects coming from that authority problem. Yeah? This is how it works. This is why. I mean, you could have one thought, all right, my boss is a bollocks. And you could have it today. And you'd be in a good space and you would do nothing else wrong for a day, 2 days. And all of a sudden you'd just be sitting at home and the next thing, this wave of fear. All right? Guilt, maybe it will come in. Take your pick, all of these will just come in from one thought. Because remember, the whole thing is cause and effect. If you're in a relationship, say you're in a special relationship with someone, okay? The special love or the special hate, doesn't really matter, okay? So let's say you're in a relationship with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or with your partner, okay? Things are not going too well, Maybe you split up, right? What comes in then? Loneliness, pain, sadness. Do you know? You might think I'm mean, you know, demanding. You know, take your pick. All of these things comes in. And now what we try to do is we try to fix, you know, the pain. We try to fix the demands, saying, I won't demand this of you if you don't demand that of me. And we go on and we try to fix all of these effects. But we never solve the problem where the problem is. And where's the problem? Huh? Where's the ultimate problem? Yeah. You see these big ones at the top, all right, and the authority problem right underneath them. If you think to yourself, oh, there's nobody like me, right, you're in here. I'm unique. I'm special. Do you know? Even if you had the thought, well, I'm the only one that's feeling this way. There's nobody else feeling as bad as me. Hasn't everybody in this room had that thought? Yeah? Now you're saying. So you see, this it doesn't matter how subtle the thought that you have. Okay, you could, like I say, you could be thinking, right, there's nobody going through what I'm going through. Now you have the thought, I'm individual. All right? You know, you're setting yourself out apart from everybody else. And all of a sudden, again, you could be sitting there just with that, you know, thought, and all of a sudden, take your pick out of these. Really, like, does this make sense? Total sense. Okay, now, let's bring in A Course in Miracles, okay? And let's say we're doing A Course in Miracles and we're practicing forgiveness, and I'm forgiving that bitch for what she has done, right? False forgiveness. I'm back in this mind. And you're thinking, hold on a minute, I'm doing A Course in Miracles, I'm forgiven. Why do I feel the way I feel? Do you see where the ego, do you see how the system has now really deluded you? And this is what's happening with a lot of people, I would say most people who are studying A Course in Miracles. Okay, they think they're doing the right thing. They're being deluded, and it's delusionary that the ego is putting in front of them that they're doing this. And it has all come from missing level 1. Because remember, level 2 is the battle of the right minds. One of them's true, and one of them's false.
Are you saying that if, for instance, I'm practicing false forgiveness or false empathy, I will know that by the fact that I'm not feeling peaceful?
Well, you're going to know that because you're going to have one of these effects. And you're going to wonder, why am I feeling? It could be fear. You know, it could be anger, it could be shame, it could be, you know, myth. Doesn't matter.
So basically, if I have any negative feeling, then I'm in my wrong mind or in the ego right mind.
What Jesus says, you have chosen wrongly. Okay? And you can choose again. And the only way, you know, you can sit and you can practice all of this and know all of this. Okay? You can know all of that, but you can still be practicing this. You know, so everybody reads the Course and everybody knows, oh, I know what, you know, what loving is, and I know what true empathy and all of that. Let's say, for a moment, you're watching something on TV, or you're walking down a Connell Street, and you see this poor person sitting there, and maybe they're dying of starvation, they've no money, and your just heart goes out to them. Yeah? What is it? Pity. Here. Straight back in to the ego thought system you go once again. Maybe you're watching something on the TV about people starving in Africa, or what's going on in Syria. Okay? The whole world is a picture to trap you into this mind. Maybe, you know, I have compassion in there somewhere. Maybe you have compassion for someone who's suffering. It's false empathy. Again, you're sitting there and you're thinking how, you know, good a person that you are, and oh, look at those poor people there, you know? And all of a sudden, an hour later, then the whole thing, this wave of fear hits you. Maybe you get up and you eat the head of somebody, or, you know, you go into work the next day and you tell your boss to F off, or you do all of these kind of things, and you're going, what's going on here? Why? Do you know, I haven't done anything wrong. All thoughts have power, and they all have power over you, because once you have a thought, you literally, as the decision maker, go into the system and you become that thought. And also then you become that effect. Okay? So you know the way the scale goes. You have thoughts, you have feelings, okay? And then you have what you basically say or do, your actions. Everything is cause and effect. Everything comes from the thought. You become the thought. That's why you can feel the way you feel. Say you basically say, right, I'm special. All of a sudden now you feel this, you just feel the fear. Hasn't everybody in this room felt fear? You become the fear. Okay? But that's why.
But there is a time delay from the thought and the effect.
If you read the section on grandiosity and grandeur, all right, like Jesus says there, that the ego will always come back to strike again. If you're prepared for this, the ego will just sit in the corner and just allow you to get comfortable into this mindset, and then bang, it'll hit you. Why does it do that? It's basically to erode your confidence and all of this. This is not working. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing everything right, and it's simply not working. And this is why people give up then on the course. I'm doing that freaking Course in Miracles, and I'm practicing that forgiveness, and I'm forgiving all them efforts. And look at I feel the same way that I feel.
But you're not really doing it. You're feeling.
Do you know? So what you have to do in this, okay, you have to look at your own personal circumstances for a start. Yeah? So let's say you're in a relationship, and that person in your relationship, you see this person as demanding. Yeah? Well, the reason why that relationship is going to be in a state of conflict all the time is because you have chosen to see that person demanding, because you have chosen a special relationship. Okay? So what happens is we all, work out why you so demanding, and we try to fix the demands. We try to make them a better person by sorting this problem out here. The real problem is up here. The demanding part of it is only the effects of the cause. And the cause is because you chose to see that person different than everybody else. And this is what the world calls marriage, or relationships and stuff like this, is I'm going to love you and no other. So automatically, straight away, both people in the relationship are into this state of mind.